In this video, you're gonna learn how to put the bigger brakes on an E46, specifically for the front, an F30-335i MSport calipers with non-MSport brake disc from the same F30 chassis, which is 340 by 30 mil. And for the rear, how to slap E82 135i rear calipers with E38 740 or 750 rear rotor, which is 328 by 20 mil. For them to fit, you have to install our parking brake delete kit, which this car has installed already. For endurance racing, the rotors last a day at best, and these are warped, and you can see nice blue shade and checking. Basically they were done quite fast, so we need more mass here. To get more mass here, we need a different caliper. So let's see if we can figure out how to make this go here. Internet says this just gonna bolt instead of this, but then we'll have challenges to figure out what to do with the rotor, but one step at a time. Well, why these specific calipers? Well, the answer is because when you understand how hydraulic system works, and the brake system is hydraulic system, it's all about the piston area ratio between the master and the slave cylinder. And to retain the same brake bias front to rear, we need to maintain the same piston area proportions front and rear, right? So the front total piston area for the new caliper is 50.4, and our old 330 brakes was 25.5. So the ratio of increase of total piston area is 1.98. And the rear brakes are quite similar, because we're going from single piston to the dual piston of the same size, so we're just doubling the ratio there. But the catch is that we're going from single piston in the slave, basically in the caliper, to dual piston, so the travel needed to compress the brakes gets cut in half, hence the total piston area increasing twice. We should have the same pedal feel at the master, and we should retain the exact same proportions front to rear, or brake bias. Let's knock these two bolts, remove the whole bracket and the caliper. You don't have to watch me struggle and bust my knuckles. I'll come back once this is off. Here we are, this caliper is off. I knocked out the pads out of this one. Well, let's see together if this will bolt on. Right. As you can see, the caliper lines up, but it's closer on this side than it is on this side, right? See the difference? So it needs to move that way, and plus it's too small. So the original hat offset is about correct for this one. And it's 325, I think. Okay, well, I have 3D printed a piece to check, so let's use that and figure out. Well, first let's figure out if the wheels will clear, okay? So, as you can see, we have good news. With the 12 mil spacer that we run, so these rims can clear the coilover, we have space here. Plenty of space. So, what we have determined so far is that 348 is a little too big. It won't fit in here. So we'll probably need to go 340 probably. 30 is the stock diameter for the rotors here, So we'll go with 30. I'll have to jump on the ATE catalog and see what I can find in discs. Maybe 344 or something like that. Anyway, now we need to figure out the offset, because this thing will need to be spaced out. Oh, okay. So, the pad depth is about, well, we probably want to find something with a smaller center hat. Right? Something with maybe a little smaller center hat, because that's the smallest we can go. Because it's not gonna cover the whole of this. Okay, we down to 2 rotor choices. We have the M5 rotor, 345 diameter, 32 mil thickness. I suspect this will be a bit too big, and then we have a regular, some BMW, I haven't checked which one exactly, but there are multiple options at 340 by 30. Just the hat offset is different, but we'll figure that out on the spot. Anyway, to figure out to clear the calipers, we're gonna ditch this and we'll have to run a hub spacer, I'm guessing. But anywho, let's check if our M5 rotor will fit in here. So basically what we have is that the rotor is a bit too long. It is grabbing on the edges of the caliper, and with the expansion and all that, it's too big, unfortunately, or fortunately, because the set of these is $500 versus 100, 200 for these. But this little guy should do the trick. Right, so that's what we have here. And this one moves nice, but I would move it 1/2 mil. That's it. This puppy needs to move 1/2 mil. So this diameter needs to be, so let's see, needs to move that way. So this to be shorter. So this needs to be minus 0.5 in this direction. Okay. Now let's see about the pad. So pad has plenty of contact area. Let's see how it aligns here. It's probably like 1/2 mil below the surface of the rotor, so they will be grabbing with the full contact patch, which is nice. And there is enough clearance for everything. So that's a good deal. We will be going with 340 by 30 calipers. And now I can get on Rock Auto and order a set, and then we'll figure out the back spacing. Right? Just say right. So, got the brake rotors and 3D printed an 18 mil spacer. I think I guessed right. The head thickness is only 7 mil, although it's aluminum, but let's see. Here we are. The rotor is on, and it is scraping on the heat shield here in front. Let's see about the rotor spacing. What is the problem now? The problem is that my spacer is too small. We need to move it. We are touching. We are pinching the rotor into the caliper. So here's what's going on. The caliper is being pinched right there, but we still have a gap. That means my red spacer is too short. So this is the fine tuning. See, we have space, we just need to move the whole rotor assembly, and that scraping will go away. Okay, so let me measure that gap right there, if I can get in there with calipers. I think it should be 3 mil, and let's print a 2 mil bigger spacer. So now we have a blue spacer. This 3D printing takes a while, so it's 21 millimeters thick, and now we're looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. Alright, we shine the light. Looks about even. I need to compress the pistons. The pad should slide in because that's the OEM thickness of the rotor, 30 mil, but let's just do that just to make sure. But other than that, it's a success. So we have a full pad engagement, very nice. Let's see if I can hold the light here with one hand. Right, so the pad isn't fully contacting, right? And the same thing on the side. This guy is contacting right at the lip. So we have what I think we have a very good setup. Money. Well, let me just say, I have no idea what I'm doing. Ooh, there we go. Dropping stuff already. Okay. We're gonna make a wheel hub adapter. Spacer thingy majigger. Basically, this goes... Oh, dropped it again. This goes between the hub right here and the brake rotor or disc right here. So, my first real job on the lathe, but don't worry, I am YouTube certified machinist. I have watched hundreds of hours of video of how to do this 7 different ways. And we're gonna do it from aluminium. Okay, we can clamp it right there. So we have one side buttoned up. Right, we made two of these spacers. One is already installed. So internal features, that's where the original centering ring for the rotor is. So this centers on that and that, and now the new centering ring for the rotor is right here. That's for the wheel. I have a threaded and countersunk for this little guy, and then have a just a socket cap screw to go in there into the original one, so everything mounts up nicely, so when you take the wheel this doesn't flop anyhow. So you see the spacing is nice and even. Everything's a success, only we need a longer brake line. This one now comes out up here through the top, so we need to route it through here or underneath. So anyway, we need a longer one. I need to go and search maybe the car for this has it. Well, anyway, we'll see. So I'm not gonna tear the other side apart till I get the hose. Oh, and one more thing, I had to shorten the bolts for these calipers for about 5 mil. They were sticking awfully close to the rotor, to my liking. And the originals for the E46 don't quite reach the end of the threads, so they're short like 3-4 mil anyhow. So do whatever you like. Now let's talk about the rears. The rears were doing just fine for us. In the racing situation we weren't overcooking them, but I wanted to go the same route like we did in front, to have a dual piston, to have a little bit better brake feel and modulation. So the E82 calipers just bolt on like no issues. You can probably run the stock rotor, but the coverage of the pad would not be ideal. That's why I went to a little bigger rotor. I think it's 8 mil wider than the stock, and also has a little clearance here, so the brake pads cover it completely. I think the stock ones probably would not have as good as pad engagement as it is. But anyway, everything just bolt on. This bolt on, that bolt on. There are no parking brakes here. They have been deleted a long time ago, so your mileage may vary with your setup. You may lose them if you want to go this route, but anyhow, all of this is a no-brainer. Just bolt everything up and things fit nicely. Now about the brake lines. The original ones that we had were a tad bit too short. These are actually the brake lines from this E46, but those are the rear brake lines. I also ordered the F chassis brake lines, which were longer, but they felt way too long. This car has coilovers and it's way low to the ground, so it was bunching up in here quite a bit. But I think this brake line fits here perfectly. So for the front, you need to use the rears from the same car, but then we need to go there and deal with the problem with the rear brake lines. Main problem with the rear line is that it's coming out straight that way, versus the old one was coming out kind of at the bottom. So these are the F-Series F30 brake lines, which kind of fit in here. but not really. Let me see what's going on here for you. So yeah, the problem in the rear is that the line coming out straight into the shock. It goes through the original routing and then ends up in here. So this will work temporarily, but I have ordered the custom brake lines. The specs will be also in the description below, but we'll see if they show up in time. Big brake upgrade, a big success. We achieved everything we set out to do. First of all, get much more thermal mass in the front brakes, and we have that with ginormous, to us, front rotors. Second of all, we did not modify any of the wear items, which would be the rotors mainly, or the brake pads. So other options were to buy different rotors and machine them, but I specifically did not want to do that because rotors for us is a wear item. So when we run out of rotors, I can run to a local Napa, O'Reilly's, Advanced Auto parts store and get a set of front rotors for a popular BMW model and just bolt them on right now. Yes, we made a couple spacers to stick in between the hub and the rotor itself, but that's not a wear item. They shouldn't fail and stay together. So it's a huge success, and thanks for watching.